What makes a person truly dangerous? Is it their strength, their wealth, their armies? No. The most dangerous personality type is not the loud tyrant or the reckless brute. It is the one who hides their claws behind velvet gloves. In this world, many rise by luck, but only the cunning survive by design. Today I will reveal the personality that conquers without swords, rules without crowns, and destroys without ever seeming to strike. If you wish to recognize it, or wield it, you must listen carefully. Power rarely announces itself in raw form. It does not walk through the streets shouting its intentions, nor does it bare its teeth at every opportunity. The most dangerous personality knows this. They understand that true power must often be disguised, concealed under layers of charm, humility, and obedience. What is a mask if not the most effective weapon? A mask disarms suspicion, earns trust, and lulls the unsuspecting into vulnerability. Consider the court of any great ruler. It is not filled with open enemies, but with smiling courtiers, bowing servants, loyal advisors who whisper counsel in the night. Yet, behind some of those eyes burns ambition too dangerous to reveal openly. The most dangerous personality is not the rebel waving a sword in defiance, but the servant who kneels while planning his master's ruin. For men watch for the wolf who bears its fangs. They do not fear the sheep who grazes quietly at their side. The mask of power is the greatest disguise. A man may present himself as humble, modest, devoted to duty, yet within him is a furnace of calculation. He will praise his superiors, applaud their wisdom, and play the role of a faithful ally. He makes no move that invites suspicion. He does not reach too quickly for wealth, nor too openly for influence. He allows others to believe they are above him, while in silence he studies their flaws, their desires, their weaknesses. And when the moment comes when fortune shifts and a door opens, he removes the mask for only an instant, just long enough to strike with precision. By the time others realize, the mask has returned, and he appears again as the innocent ally, untouched by blame. You see, men are easily deceived because they believe what they wish to believe. If someone appears loyal, they want to trust in that loyalty, for distrust breeds fear, and fear is exhausting. The dangerous personality exploits this weakness of human nature. They wear the mask not only to fool others, but to encourage them to willingly blind themselves. For if a ruler suspects treachery in every servant, he will go mad. So he convinces himself that some are truly loyal. And that is precisely where the hidden dagger waits. This mask does not only apply to servants and advisors. In every walk of life you will see it. The colleague who appears helpful, who offers support, yet quietly undermines your reputation when you are absent. The friend who smiles in your presence, but envies your success in silence. The lover who promises devotion, but whose heart is calculating gain. In all these cases, the mask allows them to get close enough to strike where others cannot. Distance breeds caution, but closeness breeds trust, and trust is the sweetest poison. A dangerous personality does not reveal ambition too soon, for ambition exposed becomes ambition defeated. They understand that if they show hunger for power, others will crush them before they can grow strong. Instead, they conceal it, allowing others to underestimate them. They may even accept humiliation if it keeps suspicion away, because they know humiliation is temporary, but survival leads to opportunity. To play the fool, to act the servant, to pretend to be harmless. These are not signs of weakness, but of discipline. For only the disciplined can wear the mask without breaking character. Only the disciplined can smile while waiting to strike. Think of how kingdoms have fallen. Rarely does the king lose his throne to the warrior who storms the gates. More often, he loses it to the man inside his palace, the one who dined at his table, shared his secrets, carried his trust. The mask is more powerful than the sword because it does not provoke defense. You cannot defend against what you do not see coming. You can build walls against armies, but no wall protects you from betrayal that walks in your own hall. The mask of power is not only about hiding malice. It is also about projecting whatever image is most useful. At times, the dangerous personality wears the mask of virtue, appearing honest and moral, convincing others that they can be relied upon. At other times, they wear the mask of incompetence, appearing less capable than they are, so that rivals dismiss them as harmless. In some situations, they may even wear the mask of friendship, giving loyalty to gain loyalty in return, only to twist it when it benefits them most. Masks are not lies in the crude sense. They are performances, carefully crafted illusions. The dangerous personality is an actor on the stage of life, while others are mere spectators, believing they are watching truth unfold. In reality, they are being guided, manipulated, led into traps of their own making. The mask is not about hiding forever. It is about waiting until the performance has prepared the audience for the final act. And when the curtain falls, the mask is removed, and power is revealed in its true form, when it is already too late to resist. A man who shows his intentions too quickly is a man doomed to fail. But a man who hides them behind a mask earns time, and time is the most precious ally. Time allows him to study his enemies, to anticipate their moves, to wait for them to grow careless. The mask grants him patience, and patience is what transforms ambition into destiny. Those who rush to power are devoured by suspicion, but those who wait behind the mask are invited closer, trusted deeper, allowed into the very heart of the kingdom. And when the heart is exposed, the mask comes off and the strike is final. What separates the ordinary man from the truly dangerous is not strength, nor is it courage. It is calculation. The world admires the bold, the impulsive, the passionate. They celebrate men who act from anger, from love, from vengeance. Yet these men are easy to read, and because they are easy to read, they are easy to defeat. The dangerous personality does not burn with emotion, but instead studies coldly, moves deliberately, and weighs every action as though upon a scale of iron. Passion blinds, but calculation sees everything. Imagine two generals preparing for war. One is inflamed with rage, eager to strike, boasting of his courage. The other is silent, patient, careful in every detail. He studies terrain, he measures supplies, he considers the psychology of both his men and his enemies. The passionate general charges forward with bravery, and in his pride believes he cannot be stopped. The calculating general waits, and with a single ambush destroys him completely. Victory is not given to those who feel the most, but to those who think the clearest. The dangerous personality is ruled not by heart but by mind. They are not seduced by flattery, nor do they tremble when insulted. They are unmoved by praise, unshaken by hatred. They treat every interaction as a move in a game. When someone shows kindness, they ask what is their motive. When someone shows hostility, they ask, how can I turn this to my advantage? They do not rush to answer insults with anger, nor do they repay loyalty with blind gratitude. Instead, they consider what benefits them most, and act only when the result has already been decided in their favor. This coldness is unsettling to those who live by impulse. For most people are prisoners of emotion. They erupt in anger when wronged, they celebrate wildly when they succeed, they despair when fortune abandons them. Their moods rise and fall with every event, leaving them exposed and predictable. But the calculating man is steady as stone. He smiles when insulted, not because he is weak, but because he is measuring when and how to strike back. He remains calm in failure, because he knows failure is only a temporary position on the path to success. He accepts humiliation in silence, knowing that time and patience will reverse it. Consider the minister in a king's court who desires greater power. The impulsive minister might speak too loudly, display his ambition, and thus invite suspicion. He may act rashly, hoping to seize opportunity quickly. But in doing so, he reveals himself as a threat and is destroyed. The calculating minister, however, does not reveal his hunger. He accepts small roles, appears loyal and waits quietly. He does not fight every battle, but carefully selects the ones he cannot lose. When he sees the king trust him, when he sees rivals grow careless, when the moment is certain, he moves. And with one precise step gains what the reckless man failed to achieve in a lifetime. The dangerous personality understands that calculation is not simply about planning, but about restraint. To act with restraint when the heart demands action is true power. Imagine a man insulted in public. The crowd expects him to rage, to strike, to defend his honor. But he does nothing. He waits, he watches, and he strikes later in private, when there are no witnesses, no consequences, only victory. The impulsive man satisfies his pride but loses his position. The calculating man sacrifices his pride, but gains everything else. Calculation also requires the ability to see not only the present, but the future. The dangerous personality sees the world like a chessboard. He does not focus only on the piece before him, but on the entire pattern. He anticipates how his enemies will move, what mistakes they will make, and he prepares in advance. When others are reacting to events, he is already 3 steps ahead, turning their actions into his advantage. This is why he seems untouchable, why he always appears prepared, why he is never caught by surprise. It is not luck. It is foresight. Those ruled by passion are slaves to fortune. They gamble everything on a moment, and sometimes they win, but more often they lose. The calculating man bends fortune itself because he does not depend on chance. He multiplies small advantages, he prepares for setbacks, he hides his ambitions until they are ready to bloom. When fortune turns against him, he has already prepared an escape. When fortune favors him, he has already built a plan to capture more. In this way, calculation makes him appear invincible, though in truth he is simply more prepared than anyone else. This type of personality can appear in any domain, not only in politics or war. In commerce, it is the merchant who expands slowly, carefully, while rivals gamble recklessly and collapse. In friendship, it is the man who never gives away all his secrets, who listens more than he speaks, and who uses what he learns to his advantage. In love, it is the one who seems devoted, but who keeps their heart untouched, making choices not from affection but from advantage. They appear loyal, but in truth they are free, because they are never ruled by passion. The dangerous personality is feared not because they are cruel or violent, but because they are unshakable. To fight with a man of passion is to fight someone who reveals his weakness in every outburst. To fight with a calculating man is to fight a shadow. You strike, but he is not there. You speak, but he does not answer. You move, but he has already anticipated it. By the time you realize his plan, it has already closed around you. Calculation gives them another weapon: patience. Most men cannot wait. They crave immediate results, quick victories, fast recognition. But the calculating man is content to wait months, years, even decades for the perfect moment. He can sit in silence while rivals consume themselves. And when they are weakened by their own impatience, he strikes and takes what remains. This patience, combined with reason, makes him unstoppable. The heart demands revenge, but the mind demands victory. The heart seeks love, but the mind seeks security. The heart acts without thought, but the mind thinks without acting until the moment is certain. The dangerous personality does not ignore the heart entirely, but he does not let it rule. He listens to it, measures it, and then silences it when necessary, for he knows that emotion is a tool to be used against others, never against himself. Truth, though praised by philosophers and poets, is rarely the true ruler of men. It is not truth that bends the will of nations, nor truth that wins the loyalty of crowds. What commands obedience is perception, and perception can be forged like iron. The dangerous personality understands this with clarity. They know that honesty, while noble, is also disarming, and that used with precision is the most powerful weapon in existence. To master deception is to shape reality itself, to make others act against their own interest while believing it was their choice all along. Most men think of lying as a crude thing, a desperate tool of the weak, but the dangerous personality does not lie recklessly. Their deception is an art, refined, disciplined, subtle. They do not seek to be caught in falsehood, for the lie is not meant to be naked. It must be wrapped in fragments of truth, disguised so well that the victim carries it willingly. To lie openly is foolish, but to lie invisibly is to rule. The greatest deceptions are those in which men never realize they have been deceived. Imagine the courtier who whispers loyalty into the ear of his king. He does not openly defy, nor does he openly praise without reason. Instead, he mixes truth with falsehood, speaking half-truths so convincing that the king believes them to be his own thoughts. When enemies of the courtier rise, he need not strike them directly. He only needs to plant doubts, suspicions, shadows that grow into certainty, and the king, believing he acts by his own wisdom, eliminates them for him. Such is the power of deception, to make others perform your will without ever commanding them. This weapon is so effective because most men wish to believe what comforts them. They prefer illusions that flatter over truths that wound. They want to hear that they are strong, that they are wise, that they are beloved. The dangerous personality supplies these illusions, not because they believe them, but because they know others do. And once a man is trapped in a web of comforting lies, he is blind to the hand that spun it. He clings to the deceiver, grateful for the sweet words, never realizing he is being led to ruin. Deception is not always grand. It is often small, deliberate, unnoticed. The dangerous personality lies not only in words, but in silence. To say nothing at the right time can be more deceptive than 1,000 speeches. They let others assume, let others misinterpret, let others draw false conclusions from their silence. And once the conclusion has been drawn, it is defended as if it were truth. Men will fight for the very lies they invented for themselves. Thus, the deceiver wins without lifting a finger. Even gestures, appearances, and actions can be deception. A man may dress modestly to hide wealth so others underestimate him. He may act foolish to hide his intelligence, so rivals lower their guard. He may appear virtuous, speaking of loyalty and morality, while secretly using these very words to mask betrayal. The dangerous personality knows that deception does not require constant lying. It requires shaping how others see, feeding them images that hide reality. The actor on stage does not need to live his role forever, only long enough to convince the audience that it is real. Consider the commander who wishes to win a war. He may not be stronger, he may not be more equipped, but through deception, he convinces his enemy that he will attack from one direction while preparing another. He spreads false reports, forges letters, lights fires in the distance to create illusions of armies. The enemy, acting on what they believe is truth, weakens themselves, and in their confusion, they are defeated. The calculating general wins not by force but by illusion, and his opponent realizes too late that the greatest weapon in war is not the sword, but deception. The dangerous personality carries this same principle into all realms of life. In business, they exaggerate weakness to secure favorable terms, only to reveal their strength when the deal is sealed. In friendship, they present themselves as confidence, but every secret shared becomes a weapon to be used when needed. In love, they present devotion, yet their heart is untouched, using passion as a lure, not as a chain. In politics, they play both sides, appearing loyal to all, yet belonging to none. To each man they reflect the image he most wishes to see, and in this mirror, they hide themselves completely. The brilliance of deception is that it multiplies power without requiring force. To conquer with strength, one must fight, and fighting is costly. To conquer with deception, one only needs to convince others to hand over what they would have defended with their lives. A treasury, a throne, a trust. These are not taken by brute force, but by illusion. The enemy opens the gates themselves, believing the deceiver a friend, and by the time they realize their mistake, the citadel is already lost. Men despise liars when they are caught, but they admire them when they succeed. They will forgive deception if it is wrapped in brilliance, if it appears clever, daring, and effective. History itself celebrates deceivers, leaders who misled armies, rulers who manipulated their courts, merchants who disguised their true wealth. The masses praise results, not honesty. And so, deception becomes not a vice but a necessity, a path to victory disguised as mere cunning. The dangerous personality understands that deception must never be wasted on trivial gain. Each lie must serve a larger design. Each illusion must prepare for something greater. They are not reckless gamblers of truth, but meticulous engineers of belief. They craft stories, appearances, and perceptions that guide entire groups of people without ever revealing their hand. And while others scramble, react, and stumble, the deceiver watches calmly as events unfold exactly as planned. The weapon of deception is sharper than any blade, because it cuts not the flesh but the mind. It controls not only what men see, but what they think. To enslave the body requires chains, but to enslave the mind requires only illusions. The dangerous personality knows this, and for this reason they can rule entire worlds without raising their voice, without lifting their hand, without ever seeming to dominate. For those who live by truth are chained by it, but those who master deception are free to shape reality itself. What men chase most desperately is control. They fight for it, they kill for it, they betray for it. Yet most misunderstand what true control is. They imagine as domination through armies, as wealth that bends others, as titles that demand respect. But these are only crude symbols. True control is invisible. It does not rely on force, but on the subtle mastery of minds, desires, and fears. The most dangerous personality understands this. They know that the sword can be broken, gold can be stolen, and titles can be stripped away. But when you control how men think, when you command what they believe, then they serve you even against their own will, and they do so gladly. Think of a king sitting on his throne. He wears his crown, he is guarded by soldiers, his word carries the law. Yet his reign is always in danger, because his control is external. Soldiers can be bribed, laws can be ignored, the crown can be stolen. Now think of a man without a crown, without an army, without wealth, but who shapes the king's thoughts, who whispers in his ear, who bends his judgment without him ever realizing. Which one holds the greater power? The one with visible force, or the one whose control is unseen? The dangerous personality always chooses the latter, for invisible control cannot be challenged, since none see it clearly. Control begins with influence over perception. Most men do not act from reason, but from the way the world appears to them. If you can shape that appearance, you control their decisions. This is why the dangerous personality does not waste effort forcing obedience. Instead, they convince men that obedience is their own choice. To make a rival believe he has won while leading him into defeat. To make a servant believe he is free while guiding him into service. To make a king believe he commands, while every command he gives is the whisper of another. This is the highest form of control, when men not only follow willingly, but defend the very chains that bind them. Such mastery requires patience. The dangerous personality studies men, not only their actions but their weaknesses, their hidden longings, their secret fears. Every man has a door, and once you find it, you enter his soul without resistance. To the proud man, you offer flattery. To the fearful, you offer protection. To the ambitious, you offer opportunity. Each believes you give them what they desire, But in truth, you only use their desires to tether them. And once tethered, they do not see chains, for the chains are woven from their own hearts. This is why control is stronger than force, because the man who is forced will resist, but the man who is persuaded will fight for you as if it were his own will. Control is not loud, it is quiet, deliberate, invisible. A tyrant who rules through terror may command obedience, but the moment he weakens, the people destroy him. The dangerous personality does not rely on terror alone, for terror cannot last forever. Instead, they create dependency. They make others need them, crave their approval, depend on their counsel. To remove them would be to remove stability, safety, hope. In this way, even when they have no army, no wealth, no crown, no one dares to move against them. For their absence would mean ruin. This kind of control is everywhere, not only in courts and kingdoms. In families, it is the member who quietly shapes every decision while others believe they decided for themselves. In business, it is the man who has no title, but whose opinion guides the owner in every choice. In friendships, it is the one who always listens, always advises, who appears harmless, yet whose influence bends the entire group. They are not leaders by name, but leaders by nature, for control is not declared, it is exercised. The dangerous personality never seeks control through force, when influence will suffice. Force creates enemies, but influence creates dependence. Force can be resisted, but influence feels like guidance. Force reveals ambition, but influence hides it behind friendship. When control is exercised subtly, others do not even think to rebel, for they do not see themselves as subjects. They see themselves as free, even as every choice they make is shaped by another's design. This is the triumph of control, to dominate without appearing to dominate, to enslave without appearing to enslave. But make no mistake, this is not an easy mastery. It requires discipline, an understanding of human nature, and the ability to conceal one's own desires. Most men fail because they reveal themselves too soon, because they cannot resist the temptation to boast of their influence. The dangerous personality knows that control must remain hidden. Once it is exposed, it is weakened. To maintain it, one must always allow others to believe they are in command, even as they walk the path that has been chosen for them. History is filled with kings who sat on thrones yet were ruled by shadows. Advisors, lovers, priests, servants. Those who held no crown but held the mind of the king. Their names are often forgotten, yet their power shaped empires. This is the kind of control that leaves no trace, the kind that historians cannot always record, yet its mark is everywhere. Wars fought, treaties signed, executions ordered, not by the will of the king, but by the influence of the one who whispered to him. The world remembers the king. The dangerous personality remembers the hand that guided him. Control does not always require words. Sometimes it is presence itself. To enter a room and have others turn toward you, to speak little but of each word remembered, to inspire both fear and desire without lifting a hand. That is the highest form of mastery. When your mere silence makes men uneasy, when your absence creates chaos, when your approval becomes more precious than gold, then you have achieved the triumph of control. True control is not exercised in moments of strength, but in moments of weakness. When others despair, when they panic, when they do not know what to do, that is when the dangerous personality steps forward. By providing direction in chaos, they bind men to them forever. Gratitude becomes loyalty, loyalty becomes dependence, dependence becomes submission. And all of it was given freely, willingly, eagerly. No force was required, only the steady hand that appeared in the storm. And so, while others chase crowns, armies, and gold, the most dangerous personality chases something greater, the invisible strings that guide the minds of men. For crowns can be stolen, armies can be defeated, and gold can be spent. But when you master the art of control, you do not need these things. You command without title, you rule without throne, you conquer without battle. And so, we arrive at the essence of danger, not in swords, not in armies, not in crowns, but in the personality that wears masks, calculates coldly, deceives without effort, and controls without appearing to command. Such a person does not roar like the lion nor spread its wings like the eagle. They move in silence, disguised among ordinary men, unnoticed until their design is complete. What makes them feared is not their strength, but their patience, not their words, but their silence, not their ambition revealed, but their ambition hidden. This personality is dangerous because it is untraceable. You cannot guard against what you do not see. You cannot resist what you believe to be your own choice. You cannot fight an enemy who appears as your ally. And while most men live chained by their passions, blinded by their impulses, and weakened by their need for recognition, the dangerous personality is freed from all of these. They do not rush, they do not reveal, they do not waste. They wait, they measure, and when the moment arrives, They strike with precision so absolute that resistance is impossible. The world will always fear the tyrant who wields the sword, but the greater fear should be reserved for the one who wields perception, deception, and control. For when the tyrant falls, his power vanishes. But when the invisible hand falls upon a kingdom, upon a people, upon a single soul, it remains long after the act, because it has already reshaped the very way men think and live. This is the most dangerous personality type, the one who conquers without appearing to conquer, who destroys without raising a weapon, who rules without wearing a crown. To recognize them is survival. To understand them is wisdom. To become them is to hold a power greater than empires, one that lingers long after the sword has rusted and the throne has turned to dust.